Welcome to the Good Life, Mindful Mondays with Iya Kemi. How is everyone doing today? I know that we have a few guests here, and I see familiar faces that I haven't seen in a couple of weeks. So welcome back to the Good Life. Today's topic, we will be talking about nature, but I first want to kind of review last week, and for those that may have been present, that I see that were present the last time we got together, I would love to hear how our topic of self-love, how did that go, in combining the things that we've done in the last couple of months. How is it helping? How is it building? How is it showing you ways to love on yourself and being mindful with that? Because every walk that we make and every word that we say is meditative, whether we realize it or not. And it's being conscious of what those thoughts are, those things are that we do. So I see you, Miss Phyllis. Hello, Miss Elaine, Miss Edith, and I think we have a guest, Miss Shanette as well. How are you guys doing today?
Wonderful.
And welcome Facebook
Thank you.
Land. Welcome Facebook Land as well. I know that we're also on Facebook and those people cannot actually speak and join us. However, I know that some people are watching now or will be joining later. So be at ease with it and flow with the process as we interact with one another in this session. So, hi. Miss Phyllis, how is everything going over there? Got you on mute. Let's see if we can get you off mute.
I'm there. It's good.
It's going good. I'm glad to see your face again. How did last week's or 2 weeks ago, how did that session work with you in doing that work?
It made me focus a little bit more on me and less on others. You know, that was which is interesting because I'm used to doing others first. So I made a point of kind of focusing on the things that I wanted to do. And if everybody else benefited, that was fine. And really being open to how I responded to things.
I love that. So you had a lot of intentful moments.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That feels good. I feel these little tingly vibrations. So, and you're smiling a lot. So I know that things are definitely helping you as you've been joining Mindful Mondays with me. So thank you for sharing and being open to share.
Thank you.
Miss Elaine, how are you? It's been a couple of weeks, but it's a pleasure to see your face and you are smiling and glowing today. Let me see if I can get you on mute and we can actually hear one another, because again, we interact.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It's a great start of the day and the week. I love it. I call it Money Mondays. Yeah, Mindful Mondays and Money Mondays. But things have been well with you, yes?
Things have been insane, but that's, the universe loves to, whenever things are going okay, like after a while I think, I'm ready to get a slap. I know it's going to happen. And it does.
Okay.
So,
well, thank you for sharing that. I truly understand how that can feel. Life can be a little roller coaster sometimes. And, it's what we give, I think, attention to and the perspective. I think that's partly the self-love aspect. And I know you weren't able to join us last week, but self-love, not last week, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I got enough for that.
Yeah, so we're going to be working on that and making sure
Oh,
everyone gets that, because we definitely want to make sure you don't miss this. And we know that it's helpful. So in that, self-love, just to give a brief review, we talked about the things that we like. And most people think self-love is physical, or it is all these other things, when self-love could just actually be like, you know what, today I'm craving a strawberry shake. And I just want to sit here and look at TV and do nothing and be okay with that. Sometimes it's just taking a walk in nature. Sometimes it's a bubble bath. It's these things that we don't slow down to do because we're on this rat race. And so, in taking the time to say, you know what, I'm craving this food, it reminds me of my childhood, and I'm going to satisfy that part of myself. Because again, we're multidimensional people living in the past, present, and the future. So we have to create what self-love looks like in order to attract the love that we're seeking from others. So that was pretty much the basis of our space 2 weeks ago. As we all know, those that have joined, I have not seen the face of Edith, but you may be at work. So I just wanted to acknowledge that you are here with us, and thank you for joining us. Um, so if you have not joined us before and this is your first time, we normally start with a word of intent that flows with the theme. This week theme is nature. Elaine shared how she got all these roller coasters and the universe threw all these things at us, but human beings, we are the only beings that do not flow with nature, the natural order of things, because we have this amazing brain that is the first computer in this universe. It has so many different intricacies to it that we are not allowing ourselves to sit with nature and listen to nature when nature speaks. It could be simply a thing of you being in your home and then all of a sudden all these ants just appear. Well, why are ants all of a sudden appearing? Is it really because of the summer? Because your neighbor might not have ants in their house, but you may. Ants are workers. If you think they're always moving, they're always working, and then they're in a community normally together. Normally, if you just see one ant, it could just be the scout looking for the family. So you have to connect those dots as to why are these ants showing up? Yes, Miss Shanette.
So I want to say something about that. What I've learned through lots of study of the ants, because we have a little bit of ant issues in Oakland, is that when you don't see ants for a long time, then all of a sudden you start to see them walking through your house. Most likely it's going to rain within the next 2 to 3 days.
That is a good one as well. So
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that,
you're
because it's,
welcome.
and Miss Phyllis, you shared something. Let's see, I'm gonna ask you to unmute because it keeps happening.
Rain or earthquakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, we have to look at the signs and symbols of certain things, because if the rain is coming in, what is the rain coming to clear out of your own personal life? You know, what is the earthquake coming to shake up so that you can move and shift and change? Are you even paying, and like they have the movie Don't Look Up? Well, how many people actually look up to the sky and pay attention to the clouds and the formation and see what bird is actually flying past them? Not too many people, because we're constantly now looking down in our phones or
True.
looking at our computers or looking at what other people are doing. So we don't have the opportunity to flow with nature, our own nature. Again, because we are electrical beings sitting next to someone, we can feel their energy. But if we're not in tune with our own energy and our own nature, we're not going to know, oh, all of a sudden I have this headache because I'm sitting next to this person. Or all of a sudden I'm hot because I'm sitting next to this person. So how do we flow with nature? Again, the word of intent, feel free to share it. Again, I've provided mine with the theme being nature. What words come to mind with your intent of today's meditation? We will do a 10-minute meditation with nature sounds. So this word that you share would be the intent to assist you along your journey that you want to walk with, because we know that words are vibration, and we're dealing with sound, vibration, and nature in this Mindfulness Mondays with Iya Kemi. So anyone would like to share their word of intent that flows and makes them think of nature?
Outdoors.
Okay, outdoors. I love that.
I would like to share, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
I really like thinking about water. I'm a water sign, so I know that there's a quote, I believe that Bruce Lee had said, which is, I can't remember the words exactly, but the idea of it is just to be like water, which is you can be still or you can be powerful, but you have to be flexible and really kind of be able to move with the tides and with nature and with life. So being like water is
I
very
love that.
powerful.
I love that. So I'll touch upon each thing once everyone shares. Again, if you're not able to come on video or our mic, please share it in the chat room so we can include your intent and collectively hold space. Miss Elaine, what word would you like to put in the space?
Well, my first thought was like nature can sometimes be very chaotic, um,
Okay,
but I don't want to put chaotic because
that's fine. You can actually, if that's the word that comes in, and then if you want to share another word, because that it's all in alignment if that's a word that came up.
it's, I mean, we like to think of, I like to think of nature as like this pure and beautiful thing. So I'd rather put in pure beauty, but it is also true that nature can be kind of crazy sometimes, you know, earthquakes, hurricanes, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to
Absolutely.
mention that, that's all. But pure beauty is what I would like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing both of those words. I really appreciate that. Miss Betty, I'd like to acknowledge you for being present. I'm not too sure. I see that you have joined us. If you are not able to turn on your video or your mic, please feel free to share your word of intent.
Well, I was just thinking, I came in late, so I didn't hear everything. I just came in about what, 4 minutes ago. So anyway, I just trees is what came to me, my mind. Just being in the midst of trees in the quiet, hearing the wind blow through. So trees, greenness. I don't know if that's, I missed your explanation or the instructions, but.
Nope, you're absolutely in alignment, and I appreciate it again for your timeliness of providing that word because that does correlate and vibrate with the word nature. And I love it, everything that we have here, starting with the tree and how it correlates to us with humans and human nature. The tree actually represents your spine. The tree actually represents your roots and how you're rooted, your foundation, your ancestors, those that came before you. It's also the subconscious mind, because if you think, we only see the upper part of the tree, but we don't see how deep those roots go. So if we hold on to the depths of who we are and the experiences that we had in a light or life-like way, understanding that we're always supported, then we'll have more understanding of how to flow with nature. Sometimes maybe even hug a tree, you know, because that tree is grounded. That tree has a long story. That tree has branches that has leaves that go through the season. They go through a color shift and a change. So when you are possibly going through something chaotic that appears to be chaotic, you can find your grounding by holding the tree and see the pure beauty of the chaos that is in the moment. You know, I love the fact that water was mentioned because we are, as I've said many times before, we are majority water, 70% water. Water has no enemy. If you think of nature and this earth, it's majority water. Water is also tied with the emotional self. So how do you allow the emotional self to connect with your higher self and not allow, again, the chaos within yourself and how you feel about something or perceive something to take you out of the pure beauty of what is? Um, to be outdoors is to one, connect with nature, to ground. We often don't ground because again, we're on the go. In some cultures, being barefooted allows you to connect with nature, and it connects with the certain points that are on the bottom of your feet. So if you don't walk often, it's good to massage your feet so that you can get the effects of all of those points being pressed on your feet. The other thing about outdoors. What I love about the word out, how often are you out of your mind and really in the flow of nature? How often do you walk through the door of making a choice or not making a choice? Because a door can be seen as a portal. So how often do you take yourself out of the door that you walked in and go through another door in order to flow with nature and the chaos things that could come up? Because if we're stagnant, chaos will definitely come in order for you to move. Again, in the chat, we have the elements of air, water, earth, and fire. Earth being our groundedness, fire being our passion within, air being the breath that connects from the stomach to the brain so that we can think and flow like water. Because we were born in water. So if we always have this idea that we're going to drown, but we're really on the cork board and we're never going to sink, then we're able to flow with nature. But again, it is the energy we put in motion, emotions about how we feel. So it's always good to allow the moment in nature to give its lesson and remember to breathe, connect with the water in your body, talk to yourself, because again, Dr. Emoto has a project. If you haven't ever heard of Dr. Emoto, he did a water experiment where it shows how certain words actually affect the water. So the word ugly made the crystallized water look ugly and muggy and not so good. But then the word love looked like a beautiful water crystal. And it's an attestament to us as human beings because we are water, we are cells, we are vibration. So the words that we speak, sometimes we're creating chaos instead of seeing the pure beauty and the experience that's kind of elevating us or trying to elevate us. Are there any questions before we kind of get into this sound meditation or any elaboration that someone would like to add?
Me, I would
Yeah.
just like to say, just to piggyback on what you were saying about Dr. Emoto's experiment with the water. So one really cool thing that you can do before you drink water, you fill the water up in a glass jar and then you hold it and then you think about your positive intentions and you speak life into your water. You say good things to the water, all the good things that you want to go inside of your body, and that is supposed to charge the water.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. That's one of the exercises we did in the first month of I had everyone actually pray into their water for a series of days until we, had the opportunity to connect again. And some of them actually felt the difference. So again, if you did not have that opportunity to be a part of that workshop, I think that's always a good time to have it brought up again, because again, everything is interconnected and flowing with nature. Yes, Miss Elaine.
You were reading something at the beginning and it said, that humans aren't connected to nature like animals are, but I feel that I wonder if that's actually true because, women, we have periods, or when we stop having periods, we have menopause. And I feel like that's really connected to nature. And I'll bet men have something too. It's not as obvious, but it's kind of, and of course we're so dependent on air and food. I feel like maybe that sentence might bear some reconstruction because we really are.
We are connected. However, our brains and our emotions don't allow us to see the connection. And sometimes we see things as being chaotic, or we might see things as not being, or we may not be in alignment. So we're constantly experiencing something over and over and over again.
Now I get what
because we're going against nature. So it's not saying exactly. So we are part of nature. However, the brain and the emotions, feelings, it takes us completely out of the flow of things. And sometimes we stay in things longer than we need to, or we don't move when we're supposed to, or we have this reoccurring thought process that keeps us in a form of anxiety, depression, fears, doubts, insecurities. So we have to, again, understand what our brain is, this major computer brain that we have. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you.
I think it's the like the TVs too, like television and our environment that really intentionally disconnects us from our higher nature and being connected to nature. So when we have all of these electronics and, like you said, like our perception about things and just the lack of understanding, and that we've never been taught to have a connection to nature. We've actually been taught quite the opposite. Everything that we've been taught thus far is pulling us further and further away from being connected to
Absolutely.
nature. So we have to do things like this to be very intentional about wanting that connection and seeking ways to connect back with nature.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that because there's a lot of different things coming up with transhumanism where their natural birth is not even really a thing anymore. So this is the time that we're in that's showing how we're somewhat disconnected collectively. Not to say that everyone is, but collectively there has been a program because again, the brain is the first programmable thing that is in nature. So we have to make sure that we're always feeding our brains, bodies, minds, and souls with things that are beneficial for our growth so that we're not stagnant and we're flowing with the times and changes because things do become extinct. And hopefully human beings will not be a part of that extinction, but we will evolve with the changes that are coming. So if there is nothing else to share at the moment, we're going to take a couple of deep breaths and get into our comfortable positions and do a 9 minute roughly sound meditation with I Love You Too, because they provide all these beautiful things. So I do not own the rights to what I'm going to play today, but it is something that I am sharing because it was suitable for today's topic in nature, in the sounds of nature. Remember, if there's sounds that you hear in your background, learn to and acknowledge them and incorporate them into what you're listening to. So if it's a siren that comes by or someone comes in the door, again, you are creating your space. Is this space a room? Is it in nature? Or is it somewhere that's familiar to you and comfortable to you to allow yourself to enjoy this 10-minute meditation? Are there any questions? All righty, let's go ahead and share the screen and expand. On the count of 3, I would like you to take a deep inhalation, allowing your breath to go beyond the heart area. And in doing so, I want you to feel your stomach rise up and the energy as it releases any tension through your body on the exhale. 1, 2, and 3. Inhale. Remember your word of intent. To be outdoors in the midst of chaos, seeing the pure beauty, seeing your feet as being the roots grounding you. Allowing the 4 elements of nature within you to create the alchemy of your desires. To flow with nature, to allow grace and ease. Rooted, grounded, focused, peace, abundance, connecting with your breath if your thoughts have gone awry. Feeling the body loosen up. Bringing you into alignment with your purpose and intent for this week. You may now wiggle your fingers, your toes, parts of your body that may feel like a little stretch is needed. Okay, so I see that the note saying there is no sound. I believe I was muted by a host at some point. So it did not allow the sound and I was not able to see the chat. So apparently spirit or nature wanted you to tap into the nature that was around you, but with a visual. I'm quite interested to see how that worked out for everyone. Because I'm just hearing birds and songs and all kind of beautiful stuff on my end. However, I saw that Elaine did kind of go down and relaxed at some point during that time, as well as you, Phyllis. So I'm interested in hearing the share. It's funny how nature works. See how chaos can just come in and try to create something, but yet the pure beauty and flowing with nature and allowing what is to still be a lesson. I appreciate that and your patience with that. Is there anyone that would like to share?
So for me, I thought, well, the lushness, the greenness really kind of made me feel calm. And I noticed that the little leaves were like, there must have been a breeze. So it was almost like I could kind of sort of feel the breeze because you could actually see the leaves. And even though it was quiet, it was almost like it was an implied sound. You know, I mean, I kind of felt the soundness, even though I couldn't hear it. I guess maybe because I wanted so much to hear it. But it was so kind of peaceful. And the greenness just kind of represented so much richness, you know, the lushness, and physically it was very calming, you know, very kind of meditative, just looking at it, you know, just standing, just and it just kind of immediately put me in a relaxed mode.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
I saw your little cursor going around. And I said, well, try.
I was trying to find the chat and figure out why I muted and if anything was heard because of the being muted. So I had a rain stick at some point and it could have been mistaken for being something else because it wasn't a long rain stick, it was a short one. And I was muted shortly after that. So again, that was nature coming in, just cleared out something that needed to be cleared out. And
it allowed you to focus on just what was in front of you, nature.
absolutely, absolutely. And the beauty of what you just pointed out with the green, for those that may not be aware of the chakra system, green is connected to the heart. And so I like to deal with the heart chakra because if your heart chakra is open, everything else can just flow because you're doing things from the heart. Also, the forest view that you saw, most of us put ourselves in the forest. And we don't like to come outdoors and truly play, but we're in our own little forest in our mind, and we don't go outdoors and we don't even look up at the trees. So the fact that you acknowledged the wind that blew, the gentle breeze, and you actually felt it, it allowed you to set your intent because you said outdoors. So you were flowing with your intent. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I did feel like I was.
Thank you for sharing that. See, so that's the power of words and how intent can just be pretty much like that. Anyone else want to share? Elaine.
Yeah, I noticed we didn't hear sound, but it was interesting because I kept hearing sound from the street, and some of it sounded like leaves shaking and that sort of thing. And so I felt like I was getting the sound anyway. But it was just nice to have the quiet and just drift. And at some point, I had a hypnosis session yesterday, and it was very intense. And at some point, I connected with the feminine energy, universal feminine energy. And I thought, as I was laying here today, I was like, well, I wonder if I can connect again. And I couldn't, but it was just okay. Like, it was just so comforting and peaceful that it was like, okay, I tried, but it didn't work. And that's fine too. And so it was just really lovely. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Miss Elaine. You see how your word chaotic still had a role in this whole ordeal today.
Oh, yeah.
It had, and you still found the pure beauty in it all. The fact that you weren't able to connect like you did in the previous session, you still did connect. It just wasn't the same experience, but it was an experience. So the fact that you're mindful of that, kudos to you. Thank you for sharing so much. I see we have Edith, Betty, and Ms. Shanette. If any of you would like to share, please feel free to type it in the chat. And if you are not able to come on video or onto the mic. What I found, again, beautiful is the fact that you both were able to connect with the elements that were around you and still flow with the nature of things. That is the intent of understanding how things may not work out the way that we intended to work out, but at the end of the day, it actually works out. It actually works out. So Ms. Shanette, did you want to share?
Yeah, I agree. I was at first I was looking for the sounds, but then when I realized, okay, because I understand the whole with Zoom and things don't always go as planned. I'm completely familiar with that in my classes. So in my time of like meditating, so I have children in the house. So sometimes for me, I need like something to distract me away from like the rustling and rustling, the
The
movement of,
playfulness.
yeah, the playfulness of children, but yet and still just the cool thing for me was just like having the thoughts and the ideas around connecting with nature and grounding myself, right? So I was still able to really kind of rise above and kind of tune out the background noise that is not, children playing is not always like the most meditative sound for
Mhm.
me. But like being very conscious of really trying to like put some of those sounds to the background and like raise the energy of like the things that are happening outside was actually really cool to be able to experience. So that was
And
good.
that is the beauty of being mindful, to realize that I can really turn the volume down over here and then have my voiceover over here. And I'm just got the equalizer just adjusting frequencies, and it's the awareness, again, because you acknowledge, okay, it's there, but not right now, boundaries. And oftentimes, when we're on this rat race, we do not create boundaries that allow us to go with nature and flow with nature. And so to just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, those things allow you to really tap in. If you don't have an area of trees and you live in like New York and all you see is brownstones and bricks, sometimes you have to look at a picture of nature to bring you to that because you may not physically be able to be there. And that's why sometimes the mind is a beautiful thing because we can trick it to believe something and feel something and not even be there. That's why timelines, it's an illusion. Time is an illusion. Space is an illusion. Or places are an illusion because we can create those things within our mind. So, with this understanding, as we have assignments always, just to kind of keep us in the flow of things while we're gone, again, I definitely implore you to incorporate that praying and speaking into your water at the start of your day, just to see how that works. And throughout the day, if you feel yourself having anxiety, pause for 5 minutes, grab a cup of water, say some positive words to reaffirm yourself, drink it, and see how you feel after you sit for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Whatever's comfortable to you. Allow the energy to come in and be one with you because you are water. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to relax and fall asleep, Miss Betty. Thank you for sharing that. That is a beautiful thing because sometimes we don't take a minute to do that.
I was okay. I woke up super early this morning, so I fell asleep. But your voice woke me up, so thank you.
That's good. Hopefully, it was a gentle wake up.
Oh yes, okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, as I was sharing the water experiment with yourself, you can also do this if you want to visually see what it looks like. You could take 3 different mason jars, put some rice in each one of them and some water and write a word. Write love on one, write the word that constantly comes up for you that may not be positive, and then write a random word and see what those 3 jars do for the next 2 weeks. Because that's going to show you how the water within you is moving based off of the words that you share with yourself.
Can you repeat that again?
So the other experiment outside of drinking your water and praying, you can take 3 mason jars or 3 jars, put a cup of rice in the jar, add water, another maybe 2 cups of water, and then on the outside of the jar, tape the word love, maybe a word that you say to yourself often that's not so positive, and maybe a word that you intentfully would like to place for yourself and work towards. Because we're all love, so I just want you to see what that looks like. Now that's 2 weeks from now that you'll get to see how that's going to manifest. You might get one that get all moldy and yucky, and one that's never changed its color and just gets a little cloudy. Only you will be able to see that, because again, your environment is also a vibration. So you want to put this in a space that may be dark and cool versus a place that's hot and not so dark. And
But the
again,
word goes on, right?
the word is going to go on the mason jar. Yes, you're going to tape it on the mason jar. Write it on a piece of paper and tape it on the mason jar. And feel free to share this with your family and friends after you see the effects of what it does. You are the catalyst that has brought you here for you and your family, because this work is not only for you, but it's for your community and your loved ones. So the other assignment outside of this water element, what ways will you see yourself grounding and keeping that fire within yourself to stay connected to the nature of yourself? What is it that you can do going outdoors? What is about maybe sitting at a tree and see what that does? You may not have to hug the tree, because you may see an ant. You might be like, I don't like ants. But again, look at why. What is it about the ant and the symbolism of an ant? And what is nature speaking to you while you're in nature? You may know there's hummingbirds that have been flying around you all this time, but you never really paid attention. So look at nature. Go outdoors and look at nature for the next 2 weeks. Again, it doesn't have to be every day, but challenge yourself. If this is nothing often that you do, just go outside and look up. Okay, and see what that does for you and reset you. It could be 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And again, if you can't get out in nature, pull up Google or YouTube and you'll find a visual that suits just what you need. You'll be led to it, and trust the process as you are led, because you're flowing with nature in that moment. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions, any shares that anyone would like to have, experiences that, any connect the dots with these intentions that we've shared on how we can continue to live the good life and be mindful in living the good life?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, I definitely want to make sure I close us out with a good intent. We're a few minutes early, but I think everybody is pretty full from this information that we received. So I pray that the breath that is in your body allows you to flow with nature and brings us back together in 2 weeks as you alchemize the water within you to create that which you want. Be sure to ground yourself and have the passion to continue to work on yourself with pure beauty, with chaos all around us in this lovely world that we have. May the roots of our trees and our ancestors keep us guided and rooted, and knowing that we are always protected and that we are always supported in that which we do. So go outdoors, get out of your mind, and tap in with nature, because we're here to live the good life.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure.
All right.
Jeanette and the faces of Elaine and Phyllis and Edith.
Thank you.
I don't see your face, but I definitely appreciate you being a part of today's energy, and you as well, Miss Betty.
Thank you. I'll try to be prepared to put my face on next time. My hair is a mess.
No worries.
No worries.
Again, hearing your voice was just enough to get your vibration in the space, and it is
Okay.
definitely appreciated. So
You.
thank you again to Facebook Land as well for joining us, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Be well, everybody.